like that.
So, last year I purchased what I refer to as the play property. And on that property came a lot of things, one of them being this little glider bench. Now you can see it works. It works. But I did have to replace the arms earlier this year because they were rotting off. This table is still there. And the paint on the frame is starting to chip away and it's starting to rust. So in this video what we're going to do is we are going to redo this bench. And by doing that, I'm going to redo this inlay that's got horsies on it. Don't really care for it. I'm going to do a custom metal styled inlay, some custom woodworking. First things we got to do though, first is we have to take some measurements so I know exactly what sizes to put this thing back together with. And then we've got to tear it apart, and then we will start sanding and painting the frame. That's going to be the first thing that we do to get the frame ready to go. Then we can start on the rest of it. So with that being said, let's get dusty. So as I was tearing this thing apart, I was noticing that at some point somebody had probably did what I'm doing right now. And I know that by the fact that the top of armrest area is actually copper and black. And so is part of the horse insert. And as I'm tearing it apart, I'm seeing more and more of it is a different color. So at some point, somebody repainted the frame, which tells me that this more than likely cheap glider is about to get its third color on it. But it's pretty rusted. The wood was pretty rotted. All of the bolts have been painted over, which isn't a big deal. But we're almost got it all the way down. And after that, we got to clean up this metal and get it painted. Which, fun fact, I wasn't going to take this thing all the way apart. I was just going to spray bomb it until I saw just how bad it really was. Well, as much fun as that was to go down memory lane to 10 years ago when I used to sandblast for a living, Harbor Freight sandblaster and my small compressor wasn't doing the job. We're going to have everything with the wire wheel and probably a flat sanding disc, and hopefully that should clean things up. This is taking a lot longer than what I thought it was going to. So now everything has been sandblasted, or sanded, or grinded, or in some cases all of them. So now that everything's ready, we're going to clean, we're going to rattle can paint everything, and then we can start doing some other fun stuff. Alright, she is all prettied up and put back together. I would highly recommend you do something like this to take pictures, or I took some B-roll to refer back to figure out how to put it back together, because that would have been an absolute nightmare without it. But now that this is back together and looking pretty, let's start cutting some material. So all the wood that I'm using is treated. Let's just get that out of the way. Now the first thing I'm doing is I'm ripping all these boards down to build the bottom part. And after I cut them all cut down to the right size, I go over to the router and I router them off. And if you think that doing 30 something boards like this was terrible, just wait. Because after all of these get routed, I have to sand every single one of them. And this was terrible. And after forever sanding, we move over to the chop saw so we can start working on that backrest frame that metal inlay is actually going to sit into. We're going to cut with the chop saw, move over to the table saw to rip the wood up. Notice that I do have hearing protection and eye protection. I am listening to you people in the comments, and I am trying to be a little bit safer, but I am also not using a push stick, so you got me on that one. Alright, so now we can get into the fun stuff. And now what I'm working on is I'm working on that top runner board across the top of the bench. Call it the header board. I don't know what you call it. And I want to customize it because this is actually going to be for my wife. I'm going to try to get this thing done before our anniversary and surprise her with it. So I want the top to have a custom feel. Hence I'm going to put a little heart in there. And then we're going to do a little carving, a little routering to really make this thing look beautiful. So I've got the middle traced out. So now I got to trace out my heart right in the center. Flip it over. Alright, so now I want the top and the bottom to have little slots in there. I don't know if slots is the right word. I want it to come down and be visibly seen. Just playing with different thicknesses here to try to get the look that I want.
Editing this, I realized that none of that made sense, and none of what I'm saying right now makes sense in the video, so I'm just scrolling over this. Just hold on and you'll see exactly what I was trying to talk about.
Alright, now I just gotta cut this out. Okay, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but let me kind of show you my plan. Okay, so here's what I want to do. These letters are all going to get routed out. Not a problem. Figured that out. What I want to do is this edge right here. I want a deep groove, is what I'm going to call it, that, to allow me to round over the whole heart. And then I want to come back to this line and power carve kind of a slope in there. So it kind of looks like the wood comes down to here and the heart pops. That's the plan. Will this work? I don't know. But we're going to give this a shot. I also bought zero extra material because I'm smart. So this has to work. So surprisingly, that actually worked. Needs a sanding. I'm not going to be able to use the round over right here because I couldn't actually get deep enough, but I'll just sand all that by hand, make it nice and rounded. So the plan to hook the whole frame together is to use dowels because I thought pocket holes would collect water and screws will leave screw holes. So we're just going to put a dowel in each one. Realistically, in this frame, we are going to do a metal insert, which is going to lay in there, and that'll actually hold the whole frame together anyway. When I took the bench apart, they didn't even have anything holding it together. It was just held together by that inlay. Drill out my holes on the drill press, use some transfer pins to transfer them over to the smaller pieces, drill those holes, get the dowels together, glue it all up, and call it good. Alright, so I'm going to stick these metal pins in the holes I just drilled. You can see we got that sharp point at the end. What that's going to do is that's going to transfer the mark onto the other piece of wood and tell me where I got to drill that piece of wood. And don't know if you can quite tell on camera. There it is. There's where I need to drill the hole for that. Drill that hole, dowels in it, glue it all together. Alright, so with the frame in clamps, my doweling didn't work out very well. I've got some alignment issues, probably because I'm not very good at it. But with it in clamps, it's time to work on the thing that I've been A, the most excited, and B, the most anxious about. And that is the metal inlay. So the plan for the metal inlay is I'm going to take some 1x1 angle iron, and I'm going to actually make a frame that will sit all the way here. It will sit in through the back and allow me to screw in through the back. Now, for the front area right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some metal rebar and I want to almost sunrise it off like this. I don't know how that's going to go. It would have been way easier had I have not done this little heart drop down, because now the frame has to have that and it has to not look like crap. Can I do it? Don't know, but we are going to try. So let's start cutting up some metal. Alright, so I've got all of the metal cut and in clamps, magneted in where it's going to go. Because I didn't cut 45s, because I kind of am not very good at things, I'm going to run this thing. I'm just going to tack weld on the inside. It's inside the wooden frame. To avoid the wooden frame, I don't know, catching on fire, I'm just going to do a couple quick tack welds, let it cool down, pull it out of the frame, and then we'll actually do some welding there. Alright, so frame should be good to go. Grind it down. Here's the idea. You can see these two pieces of rebar. That's the idea with the sunburst I'm going to go for. I'll put one there, there. I have everything measured out. So now all it's going to be is tack these in, cut, more rebar, tack them, cut them. Same thing repeated until it's got a sunburst type effect, hopefully. And hopefully it feels comfortable. Alright, so the insert has been welded, grinded. It just needs to be cleaned up and it will be ready for paint. It came out really nice, everything very nicely spaced out. So let's clean her up and let's make her pretty. Alright, and as we've got paint drying, we've got glue drying, everything's drying. Still need to make arms, and we still need to make a table for this thing. Arms, I'm going to use just the arms that I made earlier this year, but these were not treated. Make them out treated. Do a little swoop in them, just make it a little more decorative. On the table, it's going to be nice, easy, nothing to make to it. So let's finish up the fabrication. Alright, this thing's been drying for a few hours. Take it out of clamps, quick round over on it with the router, and then sand it. And then we'll be ready to clear all of the wood, or seal all the wood. Okay, I have shot a thing of clear over all of the wood that was on here. We're just waiting for everything to dry up. And then once it's dry, we just put it back together. Alright guys, it is all back together. No, whoa. No peeking, no peeking. Before I show it to you guys, I'm gonna bring my wife in and I'm gonna show her.
Oh, how cute is that?
Happy early anniversary.
How cute! I like that. Looks good.
So she loves it. It's pretty comfortable. It doesn't really bother your back at all. It still glides all nice and pretty. But that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think this thing turned out amazing. Let me know what you guys think. See you guys on the next video.